Oh, it's so great to see everybody here today. My goodness. So I just want to thank the team that's actually created the LLC and everybody who's traveled from such a long distance here as well. So culture is a living, breathing organism. It will die unless all of us continue to stoke it, disturb it, set it on fire, and keep it alive. And each of you, in your own way, is keeping our cultural flame alive, and I really thank you for carrying that. I think you should actually give yourself an applause as well. To keep our cultural flame alive, we have reorganized our arts program. The Blackrock Arts Foundation, which became a subsidiary of the Burning Man Project on July 26, 2014, has joined forces with Blackrock City Art Department to create one program called Burning Man Arts. Burning Man Arts is changing the paradigm from a commodified object to an interactive, participatory experience, shared creative expression. Operationally, Burning Man Arts is bringing all of the resources and knowledge of the Blackrock Arts Foundation and Blackrock City Art Department together to create one robust art program. Burning Man Arts will have an even bigger impact on donors, artists, and the community that benefits from an active, engaged, and supportive arts community. Additionally to supporting artists on and off the playa, the new program is exploring an expanded range of offerings, including increased collaboration and partnership with like-minded organizations, additional support services for artists. This change breaks down the barriers. Art for the playa, art for the world, it brings it all in together as one. Place more art in communities around the world, more art in Blackrock City, and create more opportunities for artists and donors. This will streamline the grant process, which will make it easier for artists to apply for grants and support, which better supports the placement of art worldwide. For donors, this development means that tax-deductible financial gifts to our projects will enable donors to contribute to the entire spectrum of expressive culture that is pouring out of us, Burning Man, because we are all Burning Man. This will open up a wide range of new opportunities for supporters of the arts. So what does this mean for Blackrock Arts Foundation? It is still a very active nonprofit and will continue to support and be responsible for the projects that were started before the subsidy agreement was signed. The successful programs of BRAF will be folded into Burning Man Arts. There are 3 basic programs: Blackrock City LLC, Honoraria, Global Art Grants, and Civic Arts. The criteria may be different depending upon where the location is, but the heart is the same, and it's interactive, participatory, shared experience of creative expression. So Blackrock City Honorarium, and this also includes the regional network from core to the souk, and this year Midway. So this was the first year we actually created the LOI. We took the lead from a BRAF. So last year we did not do the LOI, which is basically a shortened letter of intent. Let us know what you want to do. So last year with core, we had 356 projects that submitted. We funded 87. Out of the grand total of $827,000. This year, with the LOIs, we started with 510 projects, submitted 222, and eventually awarded 105 for $1.2 million. Yes. Now, what's quite amazing, since 2001, Blackrock City has actually funded over $8 million to grants to the artists. Amazing. Totally amazing. So next one is Global Art Grants. So basically, this was a program that was under BRAF, grants to the artists. So this really continues the projects that were done then. 12 years, starting in 2003, $450,000 awarded to 112 projects 23 states in 18 foreign countries. And I believe Eli Peterson is going to talk more about this tomorrow as well. So this actually shows that because we took our lead, last year they had 884 LOIs. This year, 378. More people are really going for the grants. And I'd love to see all of you apply for grants in your own community. So basically, Black Rock City Honorarium is on the playa. Global Art Grants is in the community. It doesn't mean it ever goes to Black Rock City. It might, but not necessarily. So as you can see, grant proposals that were submitted went up. Number of total awarded was 18 for international, and the budget went from $70,000 to $100,000, which is really great. Civic Arts. So if you think of Black Rock City LLC and Global Art Grants, it is funding the idea. Civic Art is really funding the art, and a lot of artwork that has been created for Burning Man would end up going out into the public for an audience that wouldn't normally see it. This was 10 years in the making. We started in 2005, and the very first project was the temple in Hayes Green. This year, we're doing another temple in the same location. 10 years later, David Best is doing another temple. So to date, we had 45 projects to date, 216,800 awards, and 8 projects in 2014. That's a lot of art. That's a lot of creative expression. So I want to talk about the one other aspect is the community innovation grants. This is sort of an off-take of what we're doing right now. Collaboration and partnerships with like-minded organizations. This brings me to the Artichoke Trust and the temple. And to the Irish people that are here, hold up your hands. Where are you? I did see them. Thank you so much. I think that the one aspect, the one quote that I kept seeing more than anything is, leave a memory behind, let go of the past, and look to the future. I had the fortunate opportunity to travel to Ireland. It was very emotional, let me just say that. The temple was installed in an area known as Top of the Hill in Derry, Ireland, Northern Ireland, on the waterside area of the city. Visible from the city center, the temple was in the sightline of 2 city cathedrals across the River Foley. As I stood in the presence of the most beautiful, stunning 75-foot tall temple that David Best, his crew, and the community had created, it felt somehow like standing in Black Rock City. But this was so much more poignant, so much more important. I was just a visitor there. Because it was more poignant, this was a gift to the community of Derry. This temple became an acknowledgement to the community, and the community became active contributors to a creative process because they made an investment with their hearts. But I needed to remember the history of the land. From the siege of Derry in 1688, when the Catholic troops of James II tried to storm the Protestant-controlled walled city, to Bloody Sunday in 1972, when British soldiers killed 14 Catholics in a local civil rights march, bonfires have been the nexus of Northern Ireland's violent tangle of religion and politics. Bonfires are associated with history, violence, and the Troubles. The Artichoke Trust that was created in 2005 by Helen Marriage and Nikki Webb took a leap of faith. They wanted to turn the bonfires and the logic of that on its head. They wanted to bring people into the same physical space and share something that would normally divide them. The mission of the Artichoke Trust is to work with artists to create extraordinary large-scale events that appeal to the widest possible audience. They don't believe the art should take place only behind closed doors of theaters and art galleries, but in the streets, public spaces, or in the countryside. They said, of course, it would be controversial. But what are the odds of David Best, an American, bringing 2 opposing sides together, the Catholics, the Protestant? They said it could not happen, but it did. The Arts Council did not support it. The City Council did not support it. But it was the community. And when I say community, it is the people. It was the people that came. Any resentment from the community that might have been there disappeared. We cannot be defeated because of the negatives that might hold us back. But we must be very sensitive coming into another country, another location where we are the guests. Our ideas of art and community engagement will mean nothing without the consideration of the community that we serve. We have no idea of what the Irish have gone through or what they're going to go through, or anybody throughout the world. With the help of the Artichoke Trust, the community was indeed involved. Symbolically, many of the commemorative temple panels were designed and made by more than 100 young children from around the city, working with 40 different community groups, including the Nerve Center and the Waterside Neighborhood Partnership. There were opportunities for people to learn new skills through apprenticeships, back-to-work schemes, and voluntary training opportunities. David Best and his crew helped train 57 youths from Protestant and Catholic communities in their late teens, early 20s. Some of them came from shelters, others had history of drug use, and a lot of them were drifting. Derry has one of the youngest populations in Western Europe, one of the highest jobless rates, and one of the highest suicide rates in Northern Ireland. Young people were trained to use computer-aided design at the Nerve Center's Fab Lab in Derry to cut temples' intricate panels. Further training in local schools took place with students as part of the ICT. There were also opportunities for volunteers to get involved with the building and to protect the structure as the temple guardians. And school outings to visit the temple, where over 300 children visited the temple during the course of the week. Without the community's participation, the temple would simply be a structure of wood and nails, but hollow, if it was not for the community's touch. Walking into the temple, your eyes travel upward to the chandeliers that David's temple is really known for. Spellbinding. 60,000 plus people visited the temple. The population of Derry is 108. There were people. It's very just emotional. So again, 60,000 people visited the temple, sharing their wishes, their prayers, gone but not forgotten. The weather is very changeable. Yes, let's build a structure on top of a hill where it's really cold. But no matter what the weather, families came in droves, bringing their dogs, pushing baby carriages, elderly people with canes, pushing family members in wheelchairs, young and old and full families. I'm sure that nobody knew who was a Catholic, who was a Protestant. Nobody. Some of the words that I saw: this is social media for who don't have media. Live life to the fullest. Life is not a rehearsal. I reached out to friends who had lost family members or friends, some of you sitting in the audience here, and I took those names to Derry and actually wrote those on the temple, about 30 of them. I thought of you as I wrote the name on the temple, and thank you for giving that to me. Very touching. As I stood soaking up the energy of the temple, the sound was one of laughter, joy, amazement, people thanking us, and admiration. There were a few tears, but it was more joy. It was families laughing. The community was sincerely touched by the presence of the temple. For those in the community that came to witness, they also came to participate. They added themselves into the art. It was monumental. I mean, the first word that I kept saying was poignant, but getting closer to the release of the temple, it was monumental. As I walked up the hill towards the release of the temple that day, it was the same feeling I had in 94, 95 when we were about to release the man. I was simply a visitor there. I was not responsible for releasing the temple, but my heart was beating faster. It was really hard to speak. It was just momentous. It was hard even to utter a word, just walking in anticipation of the moment before the sparks would fly. Tony Doherty was asked by David to help set the temple on fire, had spent most of his life hungering for revenge. His father was killed on Bloody Sunday, crawling for cover on all fours, unarmed at the age of 9. He later joined the IRA and spent time in prison. After he was released, he began lobbying the British government for a new inquiry. It would take 6 years until one was granted, and another 12 years until Prime Minister David Cameron stood up in front of rolling cameras and formally apologized in 2010. The soldiers that shot his father were unrepentant when they came face to face in a court hearing. But if most Bloody Sunday families demand conviction to find closure, for Tony, the score was settled. More than 3,600 people were killed in the Troubles, and no clear accounting has taken place. Justice means different things to different people. And that, in a nutshell, is the problem 17 years later after the Northern Ireland made peace on paper with the Good Friday Amendment. Mr. Doherty said, "I'm very conscious that I'm both a victim and a perpetrator." He said, "I hope we will have a place and a process for people like me that can do what they did and still hope for forgiveness." Mr. Doherty has shunned the bonfires for a year, but on March 21st, he lit the temple alongside Mrs. Wark's son, Graham, a former British soldier, and along with other Catholics and Protestants, set a torch to the temple. 15,000 people plus came and jointly watched the temple burn. It was not a somber crowd, and that's okay. They were cheering. They cheered when Tony and the other torchbearers raised their torches high and walked to the position. And we know once you light the torch, there is no turning back. And in a blink of an eye, all those months of planning and stressing, Artitote Trust, brave undertaking of producing the event, the weather that David Best and the crew endured, rain, snow, sleet, wind, the celebration of opening one's heart, hearing the stories from the community. The temple lit fast, and the faces of those that came to share a moment of peace, saying goodbye to the words they had left behind. The ember cloud of sparks rising high in the air are the prayers uttered in remembrance. The temple will truly stay in the hearts of those that witnessed long after the embers have died. Sparks like fireflies rise high with the flames, prayers skyward. As the sparks fly high into the world, I now wonder, where will those sparks land to produce another amazing adventure? Thank you.